Prayer. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful. So, Master's Day of Judgment in which we now live, the alone do we serve and the alone seek for thine help and aid. O Allah, please guide us on the right path. Path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed thy favors, not on the path of those upon whom thy wrath is brought down, nor those who go astray if they heard thy teachings. Say he Allah is one God. Allah is he of whom nothing is independent, but upon whom we all depend. He begetteth not, nor is he begotten, there is none like him. And I bear witness that none is to be served worth to praise besides Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. And I bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is thy true servant and last apostle. Ameen. We'd like to acknowledge the brothers and sisters that extended us the greetings of Assalamu Alaikum. We have Sister Barbara from Richmond, Virginia. We have Brother Yusuf Shabazz from Newport News, Virginia. We have Brother Yusuf Hakeem from Oklahoma. And we have the Rafiq family. I'd like to say in the name of Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, and in the name of his last and greatest messenger, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, I'd like to greet the brothers and sisters with the Nation of Islam's greeting words of peace of Assalamu Alaikum. Today we'd like to talk about the October 9th, 1964 Muhammad speaks, and this says the unity of 22 million. And we see that in this picture, the messenger has, let us try and help ourselves by supporting Muhammad's Mosque of Islam's 3-year economic program, which will in turn help Negroes in general. Now this is the huge difference between the messenger and all the rest of these new school cats. The messenger got a program. That's the huge difference between the messenger and the rest of these new school cats. Because you have a lot of people on YouTube, these new school groups, on YouTube trying to dispute the messenger. And the way they dispute the messenger is by arguments. That's how they want to dispute. You know, I want to argue with you about the Quran. I want to argue with you about the Bible. I'm going to argue with you about what he teach. But they never matching a program with what the messenger talking about. All praise be to Allah. Because the messenger taught us about arguing. He taught us about arguing. And this comes from the Theology of Time, the October 29th, 1972. The messenger says, as long as we seek to study how to be a great arguer of each other, we'll never get no place in this world. I'm not here to do that. If you want to argue, then okay. I don't want to hear it. You can sit down. He goes on to say, we don't come to argue. If you don't like what I'm saying, you don't have to take it. Then he goes on to say, my job is not to argue with you. No, because I know I have the key. You argue, yet you can't get out unless I let you out. He says, we don't want to break our principles of civilization acting a fool. All praise to Allah. That was something. Because I know sometimes, especially when you be out selling papers, you get caught up. I ain't gonna lie. You get caught up. And the thing about nowadays is brothers got these cameras now. They got on YouTube. These new school groups, these Israelites, these black Israelites. They got on YouTube. They seen some brothers that was selling some papers. So the Israelites got their little thing set up to argue. That's all they got to do, was just argue. So the brothers was walking past. So the Israelites was baiting the brothers in. So the one brother was telling them like, no, man, let's go. We ain't got time to be arguing with them. But how it is when you hear people saying stuff about your religion, sometimes it be like, it be pulling you. And the brother, he bit. And they got him. They trapped him with their arguments. Because the one thing, especially if you ever been to college and you saw the debate team, arguing don't mean nothing for real. It's pretty much just entertainment when you look at it. Because how they teach you how to debate, the best debaters are those who can bait to debate something they don't even believe in.
That's right.
That's how they get you to become a good debater. Is when you can argue a philosophy, a principle, a doctrine that you don't believe in. Because now you understand the other person's perspective, and now you can trip them up. So arguing this, so that's why the messenger said, as long as we seek to study how to be good arguers. Because that's what you can do. You can study to be a good arguer. That's all you is just a good arguer. What you saying might not be true. But you just know how to argue your point better than a person who might not be able to argue his point so good. Because you might know the truth, but you might not be able to explain what you know. That's just how it is. And if they got their video camera and they say something to you, you know what the truth is. But at that moment, you can't express it like you want to. But they got you on camera because, see, they are already ready. That's one thing about these Israelites. You already ready. You already know people who walking down the street ain't ready to argue with you. You know that. So you catching them off guard, saying things to bait them in, then you pull your scripture out that you already had planned. Because the messenger taught us not to argue. But that don't mean that these teachings can't be argued. Don't mean that at all. Because some of the best arguers were Muslims. Arguing these same points that these people still want to argue about today. Because the messenger, let's talk about what a program is before we get too far. What a program is. A program is a set of related measures or activities with a particular long-term aim. That's what a program is. A program is how you display your divine guidance through your program. Because the program is long-term. You can argue on the sidewalk and win that argument and not know what you're talking about. You can just know how to argue. Or the other person might not know what to say. But when you develop a program for people to follow, sometimes the program might take some years to carry out the program because it's long range. Then people can measure the success of a program. You can't measure the success of an argument because it's just entertainment. Like, ooh, you hear what he said? And after that, it's like, what else is there? Because when you go online, you see a lot of groups trying to argue about what the messenger talked about. Argue what he taught. Just like Dr. Sabi. Just arguments. He just came up with more arguments and put them in his little books, and you got people following him. He just got arguments. He don't got a program. What farmland Sabi got? What restaurant Sabi got? What program he got for you? Nothing. Because they had this week, a lot of people, since Nipsey Hussle just died, a lot of people was talking about Dr. Sabi and the message. And they was talking about how Dr. Sabi said, we don't drink milk. That's what he said. Talking about how black people is lactose intolerant. But if you look at the messenger's program about how to eat to live, the messenger had dairy farms. He wasn't talking about going to get some milk from Kroger's. Because if you look at how the devil raised cows, how you supposed to raise cows, I saw the devil got technology now. They could cut a hole in the stomach of the cow while it's alive. They had a hole cut out in the stomach, and they got this thing where they could take food and just put it in the stomach to make them grow faster. All other stuff they do. They got so much, like when the the cows and the animals have sores and pus coming out the sores. It's regulations that the pus or the sore has to be so big before you can't use this animal for, for slaughter. It ain't like if he got a sore or wound on him, you can't use him at all because he bad. No, it got to be so much poison in it for us to say, no, we reject it. So when the messenger talking about drinking pure milk, he's not talking about going to the store and buying. He got a whole program on how to eat to live. All praise to Allah. Sabi don't. Sabi talking about them cows the devil raised. So I mean, maybe I don't know nothing about lactose intolerance, but maybe it's because of how they raising the cow. How you know if you don't got your own cows? You ain't got no dairy farm. That's all Sabi and the rest of these cats doing. They teaching you how to be Negroes, niggas, and colored people. That's all he doing. All he doing is coming up with another argument to try to discredit the messenger, have some more people follow you without a program. That's what they all do. But the messenger had a program. And we can see how his program was set up to run and how it functioned and the success. Because in the article, it has unity of 22 million to win land and freedom. Then you got put Muslim program to Congress. Now I was looking, it was this brother who actually tried to do that and tried to argue the point. This brother's name, and this comes from the 1971 Jet magazine. The title was called Hits Black Capitalism. It says whites called true white devils and poison. That's how this brother was talking when he was trying to argue the messenger's programs, calling a white man the devil. And this brother was a lost file. It says, speaking at Point Park College in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Dr. Robert C. Vowles, a black consultant to the National Advisory Council on Minority Enterprise, questioned the sincerity of President Richard M. Nixon's main campaign pitch to blacks, black capitalism. He says, you can't hardly give the government high points, Vowles said. Their minds seem to be somewhere else killing people in Southeast Asia. It says the economic programs of the Nation of Islam were among those cited by Vowles, Dean of the School of Business Administration at Atlanta University, as successful black programs which could serve as useful guidelines for the federal government. This brother tried to argue. Not the messenger's arguments on the Quran and on religion, but his programs. He said that the messenger's programs can be guidelines for the government. If you for real. Say Nixon talking that talk. Why you not using the Nation of Islam's guideline? They programs. They got successful programs. Why you not using that? So this is what he tried to argue. So the messenger in the Muhammad Speaks on put the Muslim program to Congress. It says, and we starting in the middle. It says the members of the black nation who refuse to believe and submit to the truth will be burned with overwhelming grief and hounded by bitter regret. They will find no relief or rest day or night. He says, who can be saved, you ask? The answer is the Muslim believers who have submitted to the will of Allah and his religion, Islam, and those who faithfully follow and obey his messenger. Let us try to do something for ourselves. It's a message. He always kept it real. He wasn't like how we do. We talk this do for self stuff, but we talking about this individual business stuff. That ain't doing for self, brother. Ain't doing for self. It's lost files who got business. Just because you got a business don't mean you doing for self. Do all praise to Allah. That's the one thing we got to get straight in this new school stuff. Because the messenger has an economic blueprint.
That's right.
He's telling you how it go. Yeah. At the top of the blueprint, it says Muhammad's Temple of Islam.
Right.
It's number one.
Right.
Before we start talking about the University of Islam, before you start talking about farmland, good foods industry, single family homes, you gotta have the temple right. All praise to Allah. You gotta have somewhere to teach and train.
That's right.
You gotta have somewhere to teach people how to be Muslims.
That's right.
You gotta have some place where some restrictive laws is enforced.
That's right.
You can't just have no business talking about you doing for self. Because if you get time out the temple, you can't even go to the Muslim establishment. All praise to Allah. If you ain't got no temple, how you gonna do that?
Yes, sir.
So if you ain't starting out with a temple, you ain't doing for self. You just got a business.
Yes,
That's what these brothers need to get understanding of. We got to get this temple thing right.
that's right.
We got to get these teachers thing right.
That's right.
We got to get this restrictive law thing right.
That's right.
So the messenger said the restrictive laws are success.
That's right.
You got a business, but you ain't got no temple.
Right.
What restrictive law you got? The restrictive laws are success.
Right. That's right.
That comes out the temple.
That's right.
A lot of things come out the temple. FOI come out the temple.
Right. That's right.
How you got a business, you ain't got no FOI?
Yes, sir.
Because we think, I forgot to bring this brother, this picture of this brother. Brother's name was Larry 3S Crosby. He was in the Muhammad Speaks newspaper. Because when the Muslims got the fish, the white man didn't like that the Muslims had the fish.
That's right.
Because when we look at those Muhammad Speaks newspapers looking at the success of the messenger, we just think, I mean, if you don't know, you just think, oh, they got fish. Brothers going door to door selling fish. No. Brothers was getting harassed by the police. Sell fish.
That's right.
Just to sell fish.
Right.
You would think, what's wrong with selling fish? You should be able to sell. That's a business. The white man don't want us to be successful.
That's right.
He don't want it.
That's right.
So they was harassing brothers to sell fish. They was harassing brothers selling paper. I mean, everything that the Muslims was doing, they was being harassed. And that's another reason why when I see these YouTube videos, these new school brothers, these Israelites and all these Pan-Africans, I don't like it.
Yes, sir.
It ain't the fact that you disagree with the message. That's not the fact. That ain't what upsets me when I watch these videos. I mean, people disagree. We can disagree. We got the same belief. We ain't gonna agree on everything. But it's the disrespect these brothers be showing the messenger and the Muslims.
That's right. That's right.
Cause the thing that makes me mad is you wasn't out when it was hot in America. This new school stuff, this devil ain't the same kind of devil that he was back in the day. Brothers ain't getting harassed. When them brothers setting up that little sidewalk stuff they got, how many videos you done seen where the police harassing them about doing that? How many temples they done got raided? That's just like when Larry Holmes was talking about the Rocky Marciano thing. He was old, man. Rocky Marciano was a young man when he fought Joe Louis, so that's different. It's different. You can't be bragging about how you done beat some old man.
That's right.
In his prime, you wouldn't have did that to him. So how you bragging about how you done beat, and everybody bragging with him? Some Rocky Marciano beat Joe Louis. Joe Louis wasn't in his prime.
That's right.
And that's how I feel about the Nation of Islam. You can't talk about the nation because you wasn't out there back then. You wasn't out there when this devil was the devil.
Yes, sir.
You with this new school integrated devil. Because even if you look at black people fighting, the Christians got more war wounds than these black Israelites. The Christians. And they talk about the Christians. Go get Fannie Lou Hamer. Listen to her speak at the 1964 Democratic National Convention. Go listen to her talk about what black people did just to vote. Just to vote. Not to vote, but to register to vote. That's all she did. is register to vote. We know voting ain't nothing.
That's right.
Voting ain't nothing. But look at what black people had to go through to register to vote. We talk about Dr. King. Go look at what Dr. King had to do to be Dr. King. Dr. King's home was burned when his children was in his house. His wife was in his house. We can talk about him, but could you do what he did? Could you have withstood that? Martin Luther King was stabbed. This real talk.
That's right.
When he was marching, he got a brick through at him and hit in his head. Could you have done that? No. There's a lot of people suffering to go through Christians. Where was a black Hebrew Israelite? Never seen no Hebrew Israelites then. Where was your God at then? Talking about our God, Master Farad Muhammad. Where was your God?
Right.
Your God come out the closet when it gets safe. That's when your God come out. All praise due to Allah. Tell you. I get sick of looking at these videos of these brothers talking about the messenger like he was a chump.
Right.
I don't like that.
Yes, sir.
You don't know nothing about the FOI.
That's right.
Nothing about the FOI. The messenger said in 74, he said the nation was going to take a fall.
That's right.
They don't know what they be playing with sometime, brother, when they be talking all this talk.
That's right. That's right.
I don't mean to disrespect nobody, but I'm keeping it all the way real about the love Muslims have for the messenger.
That's right.
Praise due to Allah. They don't understand when they be talking all this talk. You wasn't out there.
That's right.
All y'all new school groups. It was this brother Larry 3X Crosby. And if you want to know more information on him, to know this ain't just some talk, you can go to newspapers.com. Type in Larry 3X Crosby. This just one Muslim. There's a lot of Muslims like Brother Larry.
Yes, sir.
Brother Larry was in the Muhammad Speaks newspaper in a wheelchair. Because they was harassing Brother Larry and some more brothers in San Francisco. The police. They didn't like the fact that they was selling fish. So Brother Larry and the brothers from San Francisco was taking the harassment. But enough is enough. We ain't breaking no laws to sell our fish. You ain't stopping us from selling fish. That's FOI.
That's right.
Time of the message. Ain't nothing wrong with us selling fish. So this one day, it's the wrong day, they pulled Brother Larry and some more brothers over selling fish. So, according to the police, what they say? They said that the Brother Larry and them didn't have a license. Because in Louisiana, they was trying to do the same thing. Brothers had to go to court to fight to sell white and H&G door to door. They had to go to court. So Brother Larry and them, they say, didn't have a license. And the reason why I'm talking about Brother Larry is because he was in the Muhammad Speaks newspaper. I didn't know nothing about this brother until I first read it in the Muhammad Speaks newspaper. And they was talking about how Brother Larry and them had to fight. That's just the facts. These brothers wasn't out there doing that. These new school brothers. You didn't have to do that. The white man don't harass you for having your thing on the corner. We even as Muslims sometimes need to go research the history of the Nation of Islam to see what Muslims had to do to be Muslims.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Because we can say all day how much we love the message. But could you endure? Like they say, can you walk a mile in his shoes? We can talk all the talk you want to talk.
Right.
But look at what these brothers had to go through just to sell white and H&G. This brother paralyzed for selling white, just going out one day. Tell your wife, I'll be back. Be out about a couple hours. I'll be back. Then you get that phone call, he in the hospital. Because now he paralyzed. But selling white and H&G. That's it. Other brother in Los Angeles. Paralyzed at the temple. He's going to the temple. Now he paralyzed for life. This is the stuff Muslims had to go through. But now you got these new school brothers. When the devil let transgender people get up and have a platform and talk.
Right.
How you, that's just like when Rocky Marciano beat Joe Louis. You ain't, brother, you ain't do nothing.
Right.
The white man let anybody talk. They got feminists. They got anybody can get a little group and have a platform and talk. So when you see these new school groups get on there talking about the message, you got to take it all. You got to look at it all.
That's right.
Can't be looking at these arguments getting impressed with no argument because no brother winning no argument. That ain't nothing.
That's right.
But the messenger had, it's an old paper. The messenger had, he says, give praise to Allah for converting the people to me and blessing us with peace and security. Allah is one God.
Right.
He is independent and has no need of us.
Right.
But we have great need of him.
Right.
It is he the prophets predicted would come in the last days of the world, seeking us, the lost people, and save us and restore us to our own.
That's right.
I declare to you that he has come in the person of Master Wallace Farad Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
By a summary of his work for the past 33 years and by the messenger who believes in what has been revealed to him by his Lord, as do the believers.
Yes, sir.
Now, when God raises up a messenger or a prophet, he don't never send that messenger or prophet to be arguing with people.
That's right.
Never.
That's right.
And the one example we can use is Jesus. When Jesus used to go to these Pharisees and scribes, they always had something to say. He could never say nothing that they had just accept. They always just wanted to argue. But when he went to the children of Israel, they had problems. He didn't go there arguing with them. Because when God sends a prophet or a messenger, what convinces the people of that prophet or messenger is his divine guidance.
Yes, sir.
It ain't how he can argue. Because every time God sends a prophet or a messenger to a people, they got problems.
That's right. That's right.
God is all wise, all knowing.
That's right.
How hard is it for him to bless you with wisdom enough to win an argument? That ain't hard. You can study yourself to do that. But when you blind, you going to people to be healed for your sight. Can't nobody help you. Here comes Jesus. Jesus is the one who gives you sight
Right.
for your blindness.
That's right.
What you gonna say then when Jesus tell you about God? What argument you gonna have? He can tell you anything. But if he done healed you or your problem that could nobody else heal you of, now you gonna listen to Jesus.
That's right.
All praise be to Allah. You got leprosy. You going to people to help you with your leprosy. So you can't find nobody to help you. Jesus cure you of your leprosy. What you gonna say to Jesus about God? Not only do Jesus cure you of your leprosy and your blindness, everybody knew you was blind.
That's right. Right.
So now people see you walking around and you can see.
Right. Right.
Like, what happened to you?
Right.
Like, Jesus.
Right.
All praise to God. Ain't saying nothing about no scripture or nothing.
Right.
Jesus, where Jesus at? I got me some problems too.
Right.
That's how God or Allah sends a message.
That's right. That's
He don't never send them nowhere to be arguing.
That's right. That's
Never.
right.
When you got Moses, people was hungry. Moses wasn't arguing with them. What he do? Manna come out of the sky. They've been seeing Pharaoh and his magicians win all the time. That's what they've been seeing.
Right.
They ain't impressed if Moses come arguing with them and he win a couple of We want to see what you gonna do to Pharaoh.
Right.
We want to see. We don't care nothing about how you can argue with us. Pharaoh the one robbed us.
Right.
Why you arguing with me? Like these Israelites. Why you arguing with brothers on the corner? They arguing with the Christians. They arguing with everybody who just walked past. Your God, that's what he came to do. He wasn't here in the 60s, 50s, and the 40s.
Right.
He come in this Negro-friendly society. The white man let everybody do what they want to do. Now all he gonna show us is how you can win an argument on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And we supposed to leave Master Farad Muhammad for him. Come on, man.
That's right.
Where your God was at?
Right.
This is all he can do? People got problems.
That's right.
People hungry.
That's right.
People need jobs.
Yep.
Because in Jesus' time, they was hungry too. What did Jesus do? He wasn't arguing with them. He fed them.
That's right. That's right.
What was it? Two fish and a loaf of bread?
Right. Yeah.
Everybody see that.
Right.
So now when Jesus tell you about God, what you gonna say?
Mm-hmm.
Now God has justification to destroy you if you don't listen to him.
That's right.
Because he was the one who catered to your needs.
That's right.
He wasn't arguing. He came straight and healed you of your blindness.
That's right.
All praise due to Allah. He came straight and healed you of leprosy.
Mm-hmm.
He came straight and fed you.
That's right.
Now you full. Now you can see.
That's right.
Now you cured. Now sit down and have a seat and listen to him teach you. All praise due to Allah. That's the same thing with the messenger.
That's right.
Same thing with the messenger. Everybody saw what he did.
That's right.
Everybody saw.
That's right.
When you was hungry. When you was dumb.
That's right.
When you was scared.
That's right.
When you was raggedy.
Yes, sir.
It was the messenger.
That's right.
Everybody saw that.
That's right.
You ain't got no argument.
That's right.
What you arguing about?
Yes, sir.
Because you don't agree. You ain't know nothing before he came. What you mean you got an argument
That's
for?
right. That's right.
Sit down and have a seat and listen.
That's right.
That's how it is with a temple.
That's right.
Sit down and have a seat.
Yes, sir.
Get some of these teachings before you start all praise due to Allah. Some of these teachings.
Yes, sir.
You know what he did.
That's right.
Before you start talking about getting you a business, get you some teachings first.
That's right. Yes, sir.
That's what you need to get.
Yes, sir.
Because the messenger got the whole blueprint laid out for us.
That's right.
And we'll still argue.
Yes, sir.
That's why you need a temple.
That's right.
You can put them out.
Yes, sir.
All this arguing. You have a seat, brother.
Yes,
Want to
sir.
hear nothing you got to say.
Yes, sir.
You ain't hungry.
That's right.
The messenger done taught you. You know what he did.
That's right.
That's why we don't want to hear nothing from nobody.
Yes, sir.
Everybody saw what Jesus did for them people. We don't want to hear nothing. We seen what Jesus did for you.
Yes, sir.
We remember how you was when you was raggedy and couldn't see. Now you want to tell Jesus what it is.
Right.
How much sense do that make? Don't make no sense. Then the messenger even telling us who God is.
That's right.
In the Muslim program. He didn't just say, take the Muslim program before Congress and tell them how we can get some businesses. This is what he's telling them to take to Congress.
Right.
Talking about our God.
That's right.
First and foremost. Talking about our God. Then he goes on to say, he said, it is difficult for me to advise my followers on taking part in the corrupt politics of our enemies, who are in complete control of the political affairs. There are many black men and women who make splendid politicians. They could accomplish considerable good if they like the white politicians and his people were given proper and equal recognition and justice for themselves and their people. If our politicians are to serve us, they must have no fear of the white man when they plead our case in the white courts before white judges. The strongest politician of our kind, or the person who comes nearest, as far as I know, to give us political justice in the white courts, if he had our complete backing, is Congressman Powell Jr., though he is not a Muslim. A Muslim politician is what you need. But Congressman Powell is not afraid and will not be easily bribed, for he is not hungry. This the message. Say he ain't a Muslim. A Muslim what you need. It's the message. He wasn't all out there because this Nipsey Hussle thing. Let's look at that. According to what the messenger said about how. Because a lot of these Muslims, I'll say, you use this Nipsey Hussle thing to get in the camera. You don't know nothing about no Nipsey Hussle.
Yeah,
When this brother died, you start seeing more people talk about Nipsey Hussle than you ever saw. You ain't never said nothing about no Nipsey Hussle. Why not he this great guy? Because he popular. We can be in the camera. Ain't all the Muslims who praising Nipsey Hussle. Ain't none of them saying nothing about the Sabi thing. Why you ain't say that's what you should be? He was about to make a documentary about Dr. Sabi. Dr. Sabi was talking against the messenger. No disrespect to Nipsey Hussle. No disrespect to him. But like the messenger said, Powell is a good politician,
Yeah.
but he ain't a Muslim.
Yes, sir.
A Muslim is what you need. That's what the messenger said.
Yes, sir.
A Muslim, all praise due to Allah. He wasn't disrespecting Powell, wasn't a Muslim.
That's right.
He said a Muslim is what you need.
That's right.
No disrespect to Nipsey Hussle. That brother wasn't a Muslim. A Muslim is what you need.
That's right.
A follower of the messenger is what you need.
That's right.
Yes.
We don't do that. We in the camera. We just want to be popular. Whichever way the wind blow, that's the way we blow. We ain't talking about the messenger. We ain't talking about the fact about what Dr. Sabi saying against the messenger. We just want to be in the camera. No, the messenger wasn't like that. The messenger was about the program.
That's right.
That's what he was about. The program.
That's right.
Because the program, as we read, had long-term aims.
Right. Right.
It ain't for right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right now you can get in the camera, talk about Nipsey Hussle, he was this great guy and all that, this and that. But then after that, what?
Mm-hmm.
What you done said to the people about Jesus?
Right.
The one who can heal your sight.
Right.
The one who can feed you. You ain't got nothing to say about him but, oh, Nipsey Hussle. And I'm not trying to disrespect this brother. I'm talking about as far as Muslims are concerned.
Right.
I'm not talking about the lost founds.
Right.
Just like the messenger, he wasn't disrespecting Colin Powell.
Nope.
But he said a Muslim is what you need.
That's right.
That's what ain't. What's wrong with saying that? If you a Muslim is what you need.
That's right.
We don't need to be following after everybody that just because they doing something. A Muslim is what you need. A follower of the messenger.
Yes.
Because the messenger said that continuously. And we see with the messenger's program, the messenger has another Muhammad speech. And this one is April 30th, 1965. It says, mission of the messenger, Muhammad, guide to peace and justice. And you see the messenger got a brother holding up 25 cents. And it says, just 25 cents to Muhammad's Mosque of Islam 3-year economic plan every week. It always got that Muhammad's Mosque in there.
Yes.
But he's saying, all you got to do is send 25 cents. Because that's the long-term aim.
Right.
If you get consistent with your 25 cents, we'll be on our way.
Right.
Messenger wasn't asking black people for no whole lot of money. 25 cents. Sometimes they just say 5 cents. Nickels and dimes.
Right.
Send in your nickel, and then they say they give you a receipt
That's right.
for your nickels and dimes.
That's right. That's right.
That's the messenger.
That's right.
So, this is how Allah shows us about divine guidance. He can take quarters, nickels and dimes,
Right.
and build an empire.
Yes, sir.
Who can do that? How you gonna argue with him after you see him do that?
Right.
After you see him take 25 cents, nickels and dimes, and build what he built, how you gonna argue with him?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you argue with somebody who know what he did, but then they got something else to say? Ain't no argument, just keep on going.
Right.
Just walk on past. Because what you gonna say?
Right.
If the messenger done done, if Jesus done healed you when you was blind and now you see, and you still got something to say, why argue with him?
Mm-hmm.
You ain't gonna be able to teach him nothing.
That's right.
He don't want to know nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. Because what else you gonna say?
Right.
Just like with the ride. I'm giving you a ride, brother.
Right.
What else you gonna say to a person? This the messenger.
Right.
Then the messenger goes on. He had other Muhammad speaks. This is the September 11th, 1964 Muhammad speaks. It says, Messenger Muhammad reports, plan to build a black bank.
Mm-hmm.
Messenger still, Mr. Muhammad's 3-year economic savings plan program. It says, we can do it ourselves by supporting the Muslims. 3-year economic savings program. Just save and send 25 cents a week or $1 a month to Muslims economic savings program.
Yeah.
And then it gives the address. Then it said a receipt will be mailed to you. Just the Muslims. messenger's, he got a long-term aim.
That's right. That's right.
With quarters.
That's right. That's right.
With quarters. This brother, his name was Dr. Umar Johnson. He tried to build, no disrespect to him either. He was trying to build a school. Black people gave him hundreds of thousands of dollars. He was trying to raise $1 million. They gave him hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now this him talking on YouTube. He chastising the people talking about y'all should have gave me $1 million. Could you have been? They done gave you black poor people.
Right.
We ain't got nothing.
Right.
We done gave you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Make that work.
Right. That's
Just like on Friday, make it enough.
right.
We done all praise to Allah. And gave you mama. Oh, I never get that, brother. What you mean? And I mean, he had a whole lecture chastising them. Talking about y'all should have gave me $1 million. Like I asked for $1 million. That's what I'm talking about black people. Program.
That's right. Yeah.
You ain't got no program, you get frustrated. You ain't got no long-term aim. If they don't give you that money, get the messengers hundreds of thousands of dollars. He wrote you a receipt and told you thank you.
That's right. That's right.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars. He'd give you a receipt and tell you thank you for 25 cents.
That's right.
You sending 25 cents in a week, and the secretaries and them got to write you a receipt for 25 cents every week.
That's right.
Think about how many people sending in 25 cents. And he said, we'll send you a receipt for your 25 cents. This is a message. And this, Muhammad speaks, it says 3 blocks from the White House. So this was the original plan, was to have the bank 3 blocks from the White House. Then we see, because this is in 1964, this is the January 19th, 1973, and it say a bank for the black man. That long-term aim.
Right.
Quarters, dimes, dollars, whatever you can give.
That's right.
Bank for the black man.
That's right.
The Messengers program.
That's right.
Now, how you gonna argue with him?
Right.
You can't.
Right.
This documented.
That's right.
All praise due to Allah.
Right.
This documented. Them brothers on the sidewalk ain't documenting them little arguments. That ain't gonna get you nowhere. Because people actually wrote newspaper articles about the Messengers program. Let's look at some of them. Because people was astonished by what the Messenger was able to do. This comes from the January 23rd, 1970. It's called the Decatur Review. This says there is a phenomenon happening in the nation that gets very little media publicity. That's another thing about divine guidance. Messenger ain't need no publicity for the white man. Because there's another articles that people make about these black leaders. They talk about how they always in the camera. And this was in 1970. This was after Malcolm. Because Malcolm was the one with all that camera stuff. The Messenger wasn't with that. Because Brother Jeremiah is on YouTube saying about how the Messenger warned all the ministers, not just Malcolm, to stay out of the camera.
That's right.
He said, Brother Jeremiah said that the Messenger even told Malcolm. And it makes sense. He said the white man is not putting you all out in the media because he like you. He just trying to use you against me.
All right.
That's what Brother Jeremiah told him. Because he said that the Messenger continuously told him, you need to stay out of them cameras. Told him that. But they say that the white man knew that was Malcolm's weakness. He loved being in the camera. They knew what it was. So they eventually turned him against the Messenger. Because if Malcolm was right, why would the white man choose him over the Messenger if the Messenger was wrong? Just like what they say about Master Farad Muhammad. If Master Farad Muhammad, they had that newspaper thing talking about he was a drug dealer. That was true. Why wouldn't they want him to be our leader? Why would the white man try to stop us from following a drug dealer?
Right. Right.
Why they care? If Master Farad Muhammad was really what they said he was, why would they care? We've been eating hog. They forced us to eat hog.
Right.
Ain't never tried to stop. Don't stop us now. But Master Farad Muhammad, oh no, he sell drugs, brother. You don't want to follow him.
Right. Yeah.
If Malcolm X was so right, and you wanted us to know about this good man, why don't you tell us about the bank the messenger had? Why they don't tell us about his programs?
Right.
This brother, the other brother who was arguing about the messenger program, said it should be a guideline for the government.
Right.
So if they like Malcolm so much, why you can't show us nothing about the messenger?
Right.
But they said there is a phenomenon happening in this nation that gets very little media publicity. It says this phenomenon enterprise is in direct contrast to the demonstration plans and counter police plans involving the Black Panthers. It's another. These Panthers, no disrespect to them, they were some more copycats. They copied the Messenger's program. And the way you know how much of people copying the Messenger program is how bad they talk about it. But if you wasn't copying this program, you would be like, man, shoot, he doing good too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like if you a good boxer, you respect another good boxer.
Right.
You ain't hating on him. You ain't mad at him because he good too. Like, I like how you got that jab. That's a pretty good jab you got.
Right. Right.
Why you hating on him? But the Panthers used to hate on the Messenger. Hate on him. How you gone with Fred Hampton? If New York Times wanted to put you in their paper, would you go to them and tell them not to put you in their paper?
No, he wouldn't.
If CNN wanted to come interview you, would you tell them like, no, don't put me on there? But the Messenger, don't put me in your paper.
Yeah. That's what he said.
For what? Why we can't cover the news on you? You're a black man. You want to say the Messenger ain't never talk against the Panthers. Never. Even though they used to carry guns, he didn't talk against them like that. What the Messenger would say, he would say is, we don't carry arms because we cannot win with arms. He wasn't just criticizing them for the fact they was fighting. He said we can't win like that.
Right.
That's what he was saying.
That's right.
That's just like if you going to the store. Like, man, you ain't going to be able to get to the store in that car. That car ain't working. You should take this one. Why you mad at me? I'm just telling you. I'm not telling you not to go to the store.
Right.
I'm telling you, if you try to go to the store in that car, you ain't going to make it because the car don't run. Why you mad at me? I'm just trying to tell you what it is. Like, go in this car. If you want to go to the store, just go in this car.
Right. Right.
That's all he was saying.
That's right.
But the Panthers did not like the message. And you can tell when you turn and look at their 10-point program and then look at what the Muslims want and what the Muslims believe. It's like y'all could have reworded some of it.
Right.
Some of it sound like they just word for word. They just hating on the message.
That's right.
Then today, the way they hate on the messenger, these black conscious people, they'll talk all day about that free breakfast program. Talk all day. Over-exaggerate all that free breakfast stuff. Then they start talking about, it's a documentary out called The Black Panthers, the Vanguard of the Revolution. The Panthers. The white man destroyed the Panthers. They ain't destroyed the messenger. The messenger is the only black leader we ever had that died climbing the ladder. All praise to Allah. His program was still going on. He still had plans to make a hospital.
That's right. That's right.
He didn't die like, oh, they about to destroy this from me. And not only that, the Nation of Islam is the only black group that the white man ain't destroyed.
That's right.
The messenger said, what we do to ourselves.
That's right.
What he said.
That's what he said.
No white man can walk around with his chest poked out talking about, look what I did to them niggas. No, they got another Muslim.
Right.
It was other black people
Right.
who dropped the ball with the Nation of Islam. Wasn't no white man.
That's right.
They tried though. Plenty temples raided. I wish sometime I be wanting to bring so many times these incidents to show what the Muslims used to do. All the fights they got into. How successful they was.
Right.
It wasn't like how we think. The messenger used to have to fight. It wasn't no thing where we just giving out some teachings, going out selling papers. Because I know the first time I saw a brother got shot for selling papers, I was like, man. And then to read how the police actually set the brother up, it wasn't like he was even doing that. They said that the brother was selling papers and the police paid a drunk to start an argument with him. That was it. And when the drunk started the argument with the brother, the police come over there and act like, oh, you know, make it more than what it was, and end up shooting and killing his brother.
Man.
When they paid the drunk to start an argument with him, it's all kind of stuff you read. You wouldn't believe.
Right.
The stuff that you read about the obstacles that Muslims had to go through just to be a Muslim. Just to do stuff that we do every day. And then you had now these new school groups that wasn't even out, got the nerve to talk about the Muslims the way they do. Then it says, in fact, it is actually slipping up on American people with little or no assistance from the powerful newspaper, television, radio, and FBI reports. And what is this miracle-like phenomenon? It is the quiet, steady, non-violent, dedicated, beyond our American imagination and comprehension, the black Muslims. That's how they used to talk about the Muslims.
Yes.
Beyond our comprehension. We can't even, these black people, what they doing, we can't even comprehend or imagine what they doing. Then it says, the police do not have any trouble with the black Muslims. In fact, they are the best friends the police have when it comes to taking boys and men out of prison and actually reforming them into law-abiding individuals. They say actually reforming them.
Right.
There's a lot of groups taking brothers out of prison. They love to get them brothers out of prison and be like, oh, he came out of prison and he with us. But this says actually reforming them into law-abiding citizens. It says much in the manner of Christ's return from the ordeal on the mountain, when the crowds were astonished at their teachings. Our present-day Christian ministers should be astonished by the teachings and the deeds of the black Muslims. It is astonishing indeed how the few black Muslim ministers are able to get their members to completely reform, while the many Christian preachers get very little reforming among their congregation. It says, can anyone imagine any of our Christian ministers prevailing upon even a small portion of their followers to rigidly follow this program? It says no smoking, no stealing, no liquor drinking, no use of profanity, no outside or irregular sex relations, no eating of pork, no breaking of laws. These are not just wall-posted rules for the black Muslims. If any of them are broken, they are immediately cast out. All praise to Allah. You ain't getting this kind of write-up on no sidewalk,
That's right.
arguing with brothers.
That's right.
This is that long-term program.
Yes.
That's right.
It ain't got nothing to do with you winning the argument. Because everybody see this, because everybody can relate to this.
Right.
Right.
When Islam is new, people can't relate to that. They gonna have arguments because they can't relate. Just like when I was a lost found, you can't relate to this stuff when you a lost found and stuff you doing. You gotta see something.
Right.
That's what converts you many a times what you see.
That's
That's
right.
right.
Not all this talking.
That's right.
What you see, and then what you see proves what they saying.
That's right.
Yeah, that's like they say faith without works is dead. Just some talk.
Right.
You can talk Islam all day, but if the people can't see what you saying, like they say, I see what you saying. But if he talking to you, you can't see, he talking crazy.
Right.
But when you can see what a person's saying, when you ain't just talking, when you see, you got a restrictive law.
Right.
And you see brothers doing. Because everybody got rules. But when you actually see brothers doing it, and you actually can write an article about your astonishment about, wow, these Muslims, we can't even do that. How much success would a black preacher have if he tried to make some of these, because everybody know what it is. You know what them Christians doing, and then you see what the Muslims doing. You say, well, how? What would happen if the preacher tried to do the same thing with some Christians? This goes beyond argument. So they go on to say, oh, that's the end of the article. But let's go to another article. And I like this article. This brother says, this is called Success Speak for Themselves. And this is written by a brother named Lewis Martin. And I forgot to put the date of this article, but it's from the Chicago Defender. This is what this brother said. He said, Elijah Muhammad, the head of the black Muslims, is one of the few, if not the only, mass leader in the national black community who is not regarded as a great orator. There's one more thing about the man, because the thing about the messenger, people were studying him. His long-term aim, people was just listening to him and watching him. Like, let me see what he gonna do.
Right.
And then if they amazed me, like, God, you see what he did there? You see how he do that? He's saying out of all of these brothers in America today, Elijah Muhammad is the one who ain't the great orator. Then he says, he talks softly with almost none of the eloquence one traditionally associates with black leadership, and especially black religious leadership. Organizational leaders, politicians, preachers, and most public figures who speak to win mass support for their views and programs seem to live on the public platform. Perhaps no public figure in our time, white or black, can match the eloquence of the late Dr. Martin Luther King. Yet Elijah Muhammad has managed to build a mass movement in his own quiet way. Also, unlike most of our leaders, Mr. Muhammad rarely, if ever, tells the world what he is going to do next. It is the custom of our popular leaders to call a press conference as soon as they get a new thought. The black Muslim chief never, as the sports writers say, telegraph a punch. Most of his press coverages seem to follow rather than proceed a course of action. Message. He wasn't all in these camps.
Right.
He wasn't taking advantage of the fact, oh, the black people like this brother. Let me go out and get a picture with him. Let me go out and talk about how a good brother he was. No. Because when Sam Cooke died, Messenger ain't go to Sam Cooke's funeral. They had Herbert and, I believe it was Herbert and Muhammad Ali, and some of them went. They was friends with Sam Cooke. Messenger didn't send the whole, like, let's go to Sam Cooke. No. The Messenger wasn't Hollywood. He was about the program.
That's right.
All praise due to Allah. That ain't got nothing to do. That ain't disrespecting Sam Cooke. You was a good brother, man.
That's right. That's right.
But we got other aims and purposes on, and the aims is the program.
That's right.
You know, disrespect. We'll send somebody to say something good about this brother, but we ain't about to stop.
Right.
But no Sam Cooke.
That's right.
We ain't trying to let everybody know we was cool with Sam Cooke.
That's right.
That's how you know the Messenger was the man.
That's right.
He did not use these black entertainers to try to make him popular. He didn't use the newspapers, the media, none of that.
That's right.
He had the aims and purposes, and that's what he was on.
Yes, sir.
But brothers and sisters, we don't want to prolong the time. So I'll leave you as I came in the Nation of Islam's greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum. Brothers and sisters, we rise for prayer. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, sole Master's Day of Judgment in which we now live. Thee alone do we serve, and Thee alone seek for Thine help and aid. O Allah, please guide us on the right path of those upon whom Thou bestow Thy favors, not on the path of those upon whom Thy wrath is brought down, nor those who go astray after they heard Thy teachings. Say He, Allah is one God. Allah is He of whom nothing is independent, but upon whom we all depend. He begetteth not, nor is He begotten, there is none like Him. And I bear witness that none is to be served, worship, to praise besides Allah, who came in the person of Master Farah Muhammad. And I bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is our true servant and last apostle. Ameen. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us not to do anything to anyone that we wouldn't have done it to ourselves, and treat everybody right, even the devil. Assalamu alaikum.